Hello, everybody, and welcome to Planet FPL, the world where everything revolves around Fantasy Premier League. My name is Suj.
And my name is James.
And happy Easter to all those that have been celebrating Easter over the weekend. James, it's a very festive time of the year. I know it's Passover for the Jewish people. It's Ramadan for the Muslims. We've just
I
had
really
Easter
hope you're not missing anyone out here. You're going to be upset.
Being that I'm got a sect of Hinduism. If I've missed the Hindus out, it's my own fault, really, because I have no idea. But yeah,
basically,
it's that time of year. But Easter, bank holiday Monday, so a lot of people in England won't be working, and thank God for the sunshine. Glorious day out yesterday, ruined by football, but you know that's how it is usually.
Oh, you talking about my Saturday or your Sunday?
Both. Football. If football's ruining sunshine, then FPL is ruining football this weekend, isn't it, as well? Because
it depends, doesn't it?
It's not a great game week for most people. The majority of people.
I think Ronaldo cappers are probably sitting there going, shut up, Suj.
No, but that's not the majority of people. So remember, like a game week average is 18 points so far, James.
Is that right?
Game week average is 18 points.
I'm on a green on 23, which is a little bit concerning at the moment. So, I mean, yeah, even the live average is 21 or something like that, maybe in the top 10K or something. Long way to go, though. Long way to go.
Yeah, I'm on 13 points, James. Like, not a single return. Sun's clean sheet.
Really tempted to say unlucky.
But my rank has gone from 145,000 to 159. So 14K rank drop off a game week rank of 5 million.
Mate, if I'd have said to you on Friday, you're going to rock out on Monday with 13 points, you'd have gone, oh, all the gains I made recently, it's gone.
Yeah, but not at all, really. So, and on top of that, I've got 9 fixtures still left to go, including a second captaincy, obviously, for Chris Wood. So look, hold on.
Yeah. Hold on. You mean Chris Wood, who you bought in and captained for Weghorst?
Yes. Yeah, but I wouldn't have captained Weghorst if I'm
who would
honest
you have captained? Someone else who blanked.
Well, possibly Salah. And
I tell you what I've seen in Manchester United on Saturday, I'm regretting that I didn't have Salah and captain him, mate. Oh my God.
I'm telling you, mate. And ironically, what I saw of Weghorst yesterday, I couldn't care less that I didn't keep him, because in the entire game, he had one chance, James, and that was the rebound header effort, and that was it.
He's my only returner, mate.
Yeah, it's mad, isn't it? So you could be like, oh, Weghorst has just returned. Yes, I don't see any long-term return. So if Chris Wood doesn't outscore Weghorst over this week and next when Chris Wood plays Norwich, then yeah, I definitely hold my hands up. But it got to the point on Saturday morning where I was looking at my team for both 33 and then looking forward to 34, because I didn't know when I'm going to pull the trigger on my wild card. And going into game week 34, I mean, I've got triple Liverpool, who have Everton at home. I've got double Chelsea, who probably had a double game week. I had David De Gea, who probably had a double game week. Cancelo's at home to Watford. Chris Wood has Norwich, and I'm looking at it like my team's good for 34. I don't need to pull the trigger on my wild card for 34. I can save it till 35. So let me get someone who's got a double in 33 and a good fixture in 34. And Chris Wood for Weghorst is the one that I ended up going with. It hasn't worked out yet, but
I'm surprised you captained him, man. I mean, I didn't hate it.
It's 2 home fixtures. I predicted Newcastle to win both. They scored 2 goals yesterday. He's on penalties. And I fancied them to win both. They're in decent form. So I thought, Chris Wood, let's go with it. I mean, did you captain a doubler?
Yeah, listen, I bought Bruno last week and I captained him this week. So I've got 28 points from Bruno, haven't I?
I got cold feet on Sonny.
Wrong Bruno, mate.
Yeah, I know. I got cold feet on Sonny, mainly because of what you were saying about how tight the game against Brighton was going to be. We'll talk about that in a minute.
Yeah, we will.
And I looked at Salah United and I just thought, no, Chris Wood, 2 home fixtures. He's on penalties. He's hit a little bit of form recently. Newcastle are playing well. Just roll the dice. And this was the week where captaincy was so spread that you could
no one over 100% EO, which in a double game week is astonishing, actually.
Yeah. So I thought this is a week to maybe go a bit differential. Now we'll see what happens with Palace on Wednesday, because Palace, off the back of playing yesterday, it might be an opportunity for Newcastle, or they might want to bounce back. But Palace's season is effectively over now. So
some good fixtures left, Palace, though.
Yeah. So yeah, that's what I did. Just a little bit more about what happened to your team, my friend.
Weghorst returned. That's it. What I've done. I mean, I actually didn't. I didn't watch. I did watch Newcastle, Leicester later on. I left West Ham, Burnley for you, but I was out with the missus and the little one yesterday afternoon. I had a little look through, and I couldn't believe it when I saw he'd scored, because of all the players. I mean, I think there'll be people out there who had him and benched him even with double. I think our message generally was that you got a double, play him, but then we didn't say with Cucurella and stuff, we weren't like, oh, play him again. Looks like one of the worst doubles ever, and look, but then that in itself kind of proves the point, isn't it? You got two shots at something. That's the reality. But most of the doublers haven't returned, right? I've got obviously the two Spurs, Kane and Kulusevski, and didn't matter this week. You've got Sonny. We've obviously not returned. I've got 9 to go like you. I bought Fabian Schär in for Doherty. That's all I did. Blank, Dubravka blank, Breuer. He really is a points dodger, isn't he? That's it. Bruno's 4, Saka 2. I mean, Saka captainers are so far probably the most unluckiest ones around, because he had a couple of decent efforts in that game, could have easily returned. Yeah, nothing, mate. 23 points, game week rank of 2.3 million. Like I would have expected that to be like 7.3 million. I would have thought at least 4 million robots would have beat that score so far. But no, and I think that proves the point, because in terms of the doublers who's played so far, what have you had that's returned? The only ones that have returned is Ronaldo, anyone who went for the little bit on Elanga, those who kept Weghorst, and obviously as from Black Box and a few others who, he captained Guimaraes. He wasn't the only one.
I bet all I want to do is ask Az whether he uses stats to pick his captain, because Guimaraes scored fuck all goals in his whole career. And so if you've been looking at stats before you picked him as captain, then it ain't happening, because the stats weren't there, mate.
It's a really good point. I'm sure he's done it on what he's saying, actually.
Of course.
From the Wolves game.
Of course. And that's not me having a dig. Of course, it's funny because Guimaraes, you took me out of him because you didn't think there was the attacking returns in it. And it's not just you took me out of it. I would have sold Mason Mount for Guimaraes.
And that wouldn't make sense, no.
With them having the double next week, I didn't think it was right. So it was circumstance meant Guimaraes wasn't one that I would have gone
More
with
importantly,
anyway,
though,
it was definitely on the list.
I might have talked you out of it. One of our patrons, James Stairs, he's never leaving now.
On
Friday night, I said go and buy Bruno, mate. And the right one, I'm in Guimaraes.
Nice. Well done to Az for going with the armband on him. For most FPL managers,
the only one, someone in the top 10k triple captained him, which I know, like, I mean, in the top 10k as well. Look, at the end of the day, most of us have had good triple captaincy returns this year, be it Mo Salah, Jared Bowen, or something else, right? But I mean, look, that's great. There's a few obviously triple captain Cristiano Ronaldo this weekend as well. Those who triple captain Bruno Fernandes probably feeling less good. I must say, when I saw the Man United team, I went, uh-oh. Not because I think most people saw it and went, oh, that's offensive. And I looked at it and went, oh, he's going to have to sit a bit deeper here, isn't he, if they're going that offensive with Lingard in the team as well. So, yeah, I think if I could have seen that team first 2 weeks ago, I never would have bought Bruno Fernandes in the first place. But look, there's a game to go. He might get beat 8-1 tomorrow night, and he might score. That will do for a return. They won't get beat 8-1. Might be 6 or 7 though.
No, exactly that. I mean, it's a good segue into talking about the FA Cup, not because we're covering off the FA Cup particularly, but Liverpool did beat Manchester City. And if you look at the form of that first half, especially, yes, they should tear Manchester United apart. But more importantly, Chelsea beat Crystal Palace yesterday, which means that the provisional fixture for Chelsea versus Manchester United which is the same night as our first leg home tie against Frankfurt, the 28th of April, is now in. And it means that next week is a double game week for Chelsea and Manchester United.
One of the minor things that really annoyed me about Tottenham's display and result on Saturday was I was going to go out for a few beers afterwards, watch the game, really look forward to it. I was like, I can't face seeing anyone. I went straight home. And, I've spoke to you about this in the past. It's like I'm watching games, but I'm not watching games.
Yeah.
Two best teams on the planet. I'm watching it. I can't stop thinking about Tottenham. It was awful.
Oh,
but Liverpool's midfield, it's difficult to think I could ever think City being so dominated in that area. I know it wasn't first choice. Keita and Thiago, fantastic. Diaz, Mane, brilliant. So good. Anyway, the implications of obviously the two results is, number one, I haven't pulled my wild card yet because Chelsea won. And if Chelsea had lost, I may well be on wild card now. A little bit like Suj, I think I'm set up okay this week. There's not a desperation for me to pull the chip as yet. So I'm going to be doing it, unless I brought into a week full of injuries, I'm going to be doing it Saturday night, which would be interesting because I might be drunk on my way back from Brentford because I've been lucky enough to get a ticket for that game. So what it means now is we've got confirmation of United versus Chelsea is going to be next Thursday, double game week 34. Manchester United, a hugely attractive double of Arsenal away and Chelsea at home, not. And Chelsea's double is not that easy either. West Ham at home and Manchester United away. And let's remember, this is a West Ham who will have a rare midweek off before that fixture comes round, although I suspect minds may well be thinking about the game next Thursday against Eintracht Frankfurt. So what United Chelsea you got at the moment? You've already got two Chelsea, haven't you?
Two Chelsea, Rudiger and Mount, and David De Gea. And I also have two free transfers going into this week. So
nice.
And then obviously straight into wildcard. So I could really tear it up. Like I could...
you could go -4 if you wanted to and get two United and one Chelsea.
I could ditch Sonny for 1 week and then get him back, although I've got a value in him, but go to get Havertz if I wanted to. So triple up on Chelsea and an extra Man United, and that gives me an extra fixture. I'd probably keep it simple with Telles or maybe Sancho. I don't think I'd be going for Bruno or Ronaldo, particularly this week. But I don't want to sell Salah because of the Everton fixture. I mean,
I get that.
Such good form. Like realistically, the quadruple is well and truly on for Liverpool. You get close to these kind of end of the season, you're like, they can't win it all. They can't win it all. They've got one in the...
Every Manchester United fan is going to shut up, Such.
The one's in the cabinet already. FA Cup, you'd say they're favourites to beat Chelsea. They've got a favourable tie in the Champions League. And there's a couple of points in it in the league. It's well and truly on. You talked about their midfield and almost a second string kind of midfield. They've rotated. They've got depth everywhere. Yes. Even as far as
I still think City will win the title. I think probably the fixtures look a bit better, and particularly the next four for City look really good with the 3 home games: Brighton, Watford, Newcastle, and the away game Leeds in 35, which means I think then they get to the final 3, which the Wolves West Ham away games are the two that look like sticking points. The West Ham game could be 3 days before your Europa League final. You won't give a shit if you're in.
Do you know, every time I've seen City come to the London Stadium, they've either scored 4 or 5 goals, apart from the Carabao Cup. But in the league, they always score minimum 4 goals against us. It just happens to be that we're whipping boys for them. So, well, many are. So,
and I think whether the Wolves fixture lands in 36 or 37, I'll come back onto that in a second. I don't think Wolves going to have anything to play for either. So I still think it's right in City's hands and they're very capable of winning every game left. Although there is definitely a nervousness. And I think the nervousness is not the fact that it's a point difference. It's the fact they were well clear. And Liverpool have won every game. City know if they drop, Liverpool are probably going to take advantage. Just on City Wolves, I know Ben Crellin thinks 37 is slightly more likely. Ian Parrin thinks 36 is slightly more likely. I think 36 is slightly more likely, but I really think it's a 50-50 call. Sky are going to show the game, and they're either going to put it on the Wednesday in game week 36, or they're going to put it on the Thursday in game week 37. I'm almost certain of that. But which way round they're going to do it, I'm not sure, because you can flip it one way and go, oh, for the integrity of the league, they should put it in 36. Or you could look at it the other way and go, well, surely for the drama, they're going to put it as late as possible. Like, it really depends how they want to do it. And I don't have the answer. One of the things I did suggest to someone was, and for those hoping, are we going to get the announcement this week, which will be a kind of scary one for wildcarders? I think probably yes, but I think they might be waiting a little bit on Burnley and Everton's results in terms of what they do. If Everton increase their lead over Burnley, say Everton win Wednesday and Burnley lose Thursday, that almost looks like it's done, I think. But if it goes the other way, Everton don't win Wednesday and then Burnley beat Southampton, then with Everton's fixtures coming up, that's going to go to the wire as well. And on that final Thursday, Everton host Crystal Palace, and Sky might look at it and go, well, Everton's last home game at Goodison, do you want to show that? Which they might make them think, oh, Wolves, Man City Wednesday. But then the other way around, they could go to Thursday, and they may even add Everton's trip to Watford onto the telly, because they've got Leeds Chelsea that night. And I think they're probably looking at going, that's a waste of time now, isn't it? Leeds are very nearly safe. Chelsea are going to finish third. It's fairly obvious. Yeah. The teams behind them aren't consistent enough to think of cashing them. Certainly not two of them. Chelsea would have to die on their arse, and they won't. So there's nothing on that game. I think the Wednesday in 36 is slightly more likely, but it's probably 60-40 personally. So wildcarders need that information this week, and that's going to affect a lot of people's planning, particularly those wildcarding are waiting to bench boost. The news could come as early as today, but they might wait till later in the week, and there's no guarantee it'll be this week. It's not a guarantee. This isn't like it's earlier in the season and you look at it and go, you've got to give fans notice. The fans will know at this stage it's one or the other. The fans will already know that. It's certainly going to be one of those two midweeks. So it's not quite the drama. It can only be those two midweeks because City is still in the Champions League. In terms of United Chelsea assets, I've got Bruno Fernandes, yay, and I've got David De Gea. So I'll certainly stick with
no
that.
Chelsea.
I've got Rudiger.
Okay.
I will take a -4 for 2 more.
Chelsea specifically.
Yeah,
you're not touching United, are you?
Definitely. And there's a number of players under consideration for me. Reece James, Thiago Silva, Marcus Alonso, Kai Havertz, Mason Mount, Jorginho, I wouldn't even rule out if it's a facilitator, and Timo Werner as well. Because arguably the easiest way for me to add the Chelsea midfielder, be it Mount or Havertz, is to look at Kane to Werner. Is one way I could do it potentially. And particularly if I decide that I'm not going to have Harry Kane on wildcard, which I'm not wed to, then I might go, yeah, sod it. I'm going to come off now and go down that route. But do you know what? I'm not going to overthink it till Wednesday night's gone. We'll pod again Friday, and I'll know what I'm going to do then. The thing is, I'm looking at it going, I don't want to get rid of Robertson or Trent. I don't particularly want to get rid of João Cancelo. But then that's another one where if Cancelo starts again Wednesday, I'd have doubts that he plays Watford personally. And again, if they don't double in 36, say the double's 37, then there's every chance I'm going without City on my wildcard completely, which I realise how dangerous that is. But then I might look and go, right, well, is Cancelo to Reece James, for example, and then move the other one, which can just about work. I got about 2 million in the bank, so I could go like Cancelo to Reece James, Ryan Fraser to Mason Mount, and just about make that work. I think the smart advice in terms of buying Chelsea players is wait till Wednesday night's gone, because that's what the majority of people are going to do this week. Most people probably aren't sitting there with 3. So the advice would be wait till Wednesday. We'll cover this on Friday. I'm also recording with Gary and Ted for Thursday's Clash of Correspondents, Man United Chelsea. And we're not going to record it till Thursday morning. So it will be after Chelsea's game Wednesday night. So we'll nearer the time later in the week, we've got the fan view on Chelsea, and we'll obviously give our opinion on Friday as well.
Nice. Let's talk about these games, shall we, James? I know you don't want to. I know you.
Oh, we've got to start there as well, haven't we?
Well, yes, we do. Unfortunately, I mean, you called it as a banana skin fixture. You were worried about how they were going to set up, and interestingly, Mope gets dropped, and they go with no striker as a kind of setup to counter attack what you guys are going to do, which is interesting. Perhaps it gives them a body to drop in and mark Kane out of the game, particularly. And you said before we started recording that you could talk for an hour and a half about this game, which we won't. We'll save for Tottenham, but I'm going to let you go. And while you do, I left my coffee in the other side of the room, so I'm going to get it.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you want me to like pause?
Nah. Just go on. Tell them how bad you guys were.
All right. Well, I'll talk about Brighton first because that's the bit you're probably not interested in. You can listen back to it later.
We've got to play them last day of the season, so
Why
I am a little.
Go and get your coffee.
Go on.
Right. The easy first thing I can't believe he's done that. He's literally left me on my Todd. The first thing to say is it's easy to go Tottenham were rubbish. Tottenham weren't good. It's fairly obvious. Brighton, tactically, is one of the best defensive displays in terms of tactical setup that I've seen from a team this season. Certainly the best against Tottenham. What they did was really clever. Suj really should be listening to this. They did a back three, but they played quite a wide split back three. They were allowed ease back. They pushed the wing backs obviously on to push against our wing backs. And what really importantly they did better than anything, Suj, was to stop passing lines. They stopped passing lines primarily into Kane. 2 minutes into the game, I could see Bissouma was shielding Kane. He was just following him. Not man marking him, but was shielding the passing line constantly. I'm like, we're in trouble here. You can see that straight away. And obviously what they did was they went and kind of pressed, but didn't press high enough in terms of leaving the ball over the top for Son and stuff, right? The centre backs.
Whenever people play a high line, you know you're in trouble against Spurs.
Well, yeah, Tottenham invariably will just smash it over the top. But obviously what Brighton had on that side, of course, against Son particularly was Lamptey, really importantly, was constantly aware. He wasn't up and down like as much as he normally is. He was a little bit conscious of Sonny that side to make sure Joel Veltman didn't get isolated one-on-one. But they stopped passing lines so much. And the one that they cut off especially well was Romero into anybody. Because if you look at Tottenham's goals primarily over the last 2 months or so many of them involve Romero, like at the start of a move. And he acts as a trigger pass. And Spurs couldn't get third man runners off. Third man runner primarily is Son. So ball goes into Kane and Son's the third man in the move. Boom, he's gone. Think of the goal at the third goal at Villa last week where Romero plays that pass into Kane. The ball's in the air. Kane knows Son's going. And they've got that understanding. They just couldn't work the situation. And it's all credit to Brighton. Tottenham were under par for whatever reason in terms of on the ball, but really struggled with tempo because of Brighton, because you don't just want to knock it long if you can't get Son over the top. You don't just want to knock it long for Kane if he's going for it in the air with Lewis Dunk. And they had this shield where, because of Bissouma in front of Kane, Dunk never got drawn out. So Dunk was always, he could judge it and go, right, well, I'm going to go and attack the header. Or if it wasn't a headed ball, we just sat off and let Bissouma try and deal with it in front. Kulusevski had a quiet game, couldn't get involved. I think Conte had to change the system during the game, and I'll talk about it on Wednesday. Even if it meant he took one of the three off and went to three in midfield, he had to change it because it wasn't working. It just had a numerical advantage. I watched the whole game from my seat in the ground and felt like I had 12 men on the pitch.
I looked at the stats.
Brilliant defensive display.
Yeah, I looked at the stats at halftime. You say brilliant defensive display, and obviously you need a good defensive foundation to build on. But the stats were more shots on target, and I was like, okay, they're outplaying you here, and they've got more attacking threat. And is that a result of a good foundation that they could just break on you? Because they did have
everything. Because the difference with them and other teams who would maybe come and try and do that, and I think it's worth saying, there's not many teams left who are going to be able to do this to Tottenham in the way that Brighton did it. But what's such a difference for them is as well, if you can get them working in a right defensive structure, they are basically a top 6 team in terms of ball retention. So you set them up defensively well, and then when they've got it, like in injury time, they've obviously scored. Bergwijn has the chance straight afterwards, should at least hit the target, which was, to be honest, was only real decent effort of the game. And ironically, that came from a long ball, which Kane flicked on. And we couldn't get the ball off them in injury time, mate. Take the piss out of us. It was so good. Which is ironic because a lot of what I was seeing on my timeline after the game was anti-football Brighton and stuff like that. I mean, my God, take your glasses off and just understand and respect that they put in a top tactical display and done something to Tottenham that no one else has been able to do the last couple of months since the win at Manchester City, which is truly stoppers. Like, I know we lost at Burnley, but it was a kind of a 50-50 game. We won from a set piece. We did have chances in that game. They just completely nullified us and shut us off. And it's concerning for Tottenham because others will see it and should follow it as a blueprint in terms of stylistically. But I don't think many others can.
Do you think Brentford next week, because Brentford can play three at the back and quite often, and then Norgard could play the Bissouma role and maybe try and cut out the passing lines, perhaps?
Yeah, they could do that.
And who would they play on the right side that could keep up with Sonny, particularly pace-wise? I'm not sure.
Well, they don't, so they'd probably still play. If they went to a back three, they'd probably play Roslev at wing back with Aguirre inside, which is okay because he's obviously dominant in the air as well. So it's got to be pinpoints. Over the
Tony
top.
Or Mbomo, would they be able to cut out Romero's passing lines potentially?
Here's the difference. So if they play a three at the back, they will still play two up front. They'll play Tony and Mbomo. And Mbomo will work his nuts and he'll do the press. And Tony will probably drop in as he does. Yeah. When they play a two. It's not great for him in a two, but he does a job for the team and stuff. But they won't be able to stop Tottenham's build up from the back in the same way, in that system, in the way that Brighton did. Because Brighton in times of the game went with like a man-to-man press and said, basically, pass through us. We're going to cut passing lines all the time, pass through us. So actually, although Brentford might copycat it and do a back three, they won't do it in the same way unless they're brave enough to push Ericsson and presumably Jan out too. But if the wing backs don't go as well, then you will find Tottenham will get the ball into Højbjerg and Bentancur that way. And then Norgard's got the choice, right? Well, I've got to come off Kane. And then it's a 2v1. Tottenham could not work any advantage superiorly in the game other than retaining the ball between the back three. It was the only thing they could do. And it was just expertly done because it's one thing to do it, to pull it off for 90 minutes and make a team that's been destroying a lot of good teams recently look so average and inept is full credit to them.
Is there any concerns going into the Brentford game with people that tripled up on Spurs or just roll with it at the moment?
Look, I mean, take my example where Kane to Werner might open up Fraser to Mount. It's the sort of transfer that
the double game week Chelsea might be worth
absolutely.
It.
So, but don't shit yourselves. Like the Tottenham asset. This is I wouldn't call it a freak, and Brighton deserves to win, no doubt about it. But no one else,
Brighton.
Yeah, no one else can play like that, I don't think, and do it as well. If Arsenal play like that and do it in the same way, I promise you, that's possibly what Arteta will try and do. He'll go, right, I'm going to go back three. I'm going to try and copy that when the two clubs play each other in game 36. There is no way that Arsenal won't lose sight of Tottenham in the passing lines. Tottenham will still open them up. It's different.
Yep.
So I wouldn't overlook into it and panic about the Tottenham assets. Yes, it was completely under par, but I think so much credit to Brighton. They kept me up Friday night worrying that they wouldn't pick a centre forward. And as soon as I saw the team, I shit myself. Honestly, the game I spoke about, the longer the week got on building to it, the more and more I was telling you I'm getting worried about this.
Yeah.
To be honest, I didn't think they could do it that well. I still thought we'd win the game. But no, full credit to Brighton. Don't shit yourself about Kane, Sonny, Kulusevski and the like. No one else is going to play like that against us. Certainly can't pull it off as well as what they did. I don't. The two teams I never want to play, ever. Brighton and Southampton. Do my head in. Segue.
Manchester United is the segue, James.
Oh, bollocks, it's not.
Yeah. Manchester United 3. Norwich 2. I thought 2-1. So I predicted a 1-goal difference, and I did predict Norwich to score, and I'm going to take that all the way to the bank. But Ronaldo is Ronaldo. Flat track bully, if you want to call him that, but who cares? Hat-trick again. But this was far from... Do you know, it's ironic, like in the race for top 4, let's call it top 6 for us, particularly United, I'm not worried about because I think they'll shit the bed every now and then. Yet now they've opened up a bit of a gap. And they're up to 5th or what have you, and they're still in and amongst it because they keep chipping away, even though everyone thinks they're crap at the moment.
To be honest with you, right now, their next 3 games are Liverpool away, Arsenal away, Chelsea at home. Then they've got Brentford at home, and they've got Brighton away. I don't think it's inconceivable that they'll win none of them.
Yeah, you're right.
I'm not listen, can they finish top 4? Of course they can, because they've got superstar players in the likes of Ronaldo and Bruno Fernandes and stuff. But right now, the way they're defending and how open they are and stuff, even the likes of Brighton, if they go to Brighton in game week 36 and play like they played against Norwich, they get destroyed. Heck, Brighton will muck them off so badly in terms of the way they keep the ball. Their confidence is up now, Brighton.
Yeah, for sure.
And how you get yourself in a position to be 2-0 up against Norwich and could have easily been behind before Ronaldo scored the free. De Gea's made one great save from Rashica. You think of the lack of service that Timo Pukki's had all season, and Kieran Dowell picking up pockets and giving them real problems. So open. Part of that was the team selection. We know he almost definitely is going to bring Matic in for these forthcoming games, and that will steady it a little bit. But they need more like McTominay and Fred back, don't they? I mean, until they get at least one of them back, I think the next few games could be disastrous for them. I can't see them getting anything tomorrow night. I actually think if United go to Liverpool and
the odds must be out insane for a Manchester United Liverpool game. United's odds must be so high.
I don't think it's impossible to be like 5-0 again.
And that's if Liverpool take their foot off the gas again.
If Liverpool score early, United are in massive trouble. Liverpool don't play again until Sunday. So it's one of the rare occasions left where Liverpool can't. Yeah, we're going to go thump you, and the crowd are going to be so up for it and stuff. I don't see how United can withhold that. The best thing they can do is narrow the back four. So like bring Wan-Bissaka back into the game. Tellez at left back defensively. It's a disaster as seen on the first goal, particularly at the weekend, and just narrow the game as best they can. But then what do you do when you narrow the game against Liverpool? Oh, you got Trent and Robertson flying crosses at you all game. You can't win.
No.
If United win at Liverpool tomorrow night, I'd be staggered.
Is there any motivation in you to get another Manchester United player on top of David De Gea, or is that done?
To be honest with you, I look at that double. I think Arsenal will beat them comfortably on Saturday as well. I don't think they'll be able to live with Arsenal and their movement. It's more a case of can Arsenal finish the chances. If Arsenal finish the chances to beat Manchester United on Saturday without a problem, I think. And then Chelsea next Thursday? I mean, what am I getting excited about? I think like if I didn't own Bruno and I was sitting there with Sonny, for example, I would maybe think, well, yeah, he's capable. But then you've had the same choice the last week gone and presumably didn't make it. So why wouldn't necessarily make it now? I think Liverpool have way too much for United personally. Alanga could maybe offer a route in, possibly. If I decide I want to go Reece James and the midfielder and I maybe can't make it work, Alanga might offer me the little bit of room in that I need to do that. But I think to do that, I'd probably want to. Well, am I even Arsenal away Chelsea? And what am I expecting? To be honest,
it's not a good double.
Not a lot. I mean, I think if I was free hitting this week, and I know a few are considering it now because maybe they've got no Chelsea, for example, and don't know when they want to use it in the other week. Perhaps if people got 2 left, for example, then I think I would go Ronaldo, Fernandes, and De Gea.
Yeah,
have to, I think, and that feels like a large chunk of it's 30 million or so going into United, nearly. No, not quite 27, 28 or so. Is that worth it?
No,
probably not. Go on.
I was going to say, if there's something that cheered you up after the Spurs game, it would have been the next game that we were going to talk about, James. Southampton 1, Arsenal 0. But if you got more to say on Manchester United, go for it.
They won't pick the team tomorrow night that played against Norwich. But if McTominay and Fred are still out, and if Varane's still out as well, I think it's close your eyes. I really think they could get absolutely smashed tomorrow night. I hope from an FPL perspective they don't, because I don't have any Liverpool offensive, right? From a Champions League perspective for my team, I'm not bothered if they do. Go and smash them. No, I've not got a lot more to add. I've seen a lot on Saturday night of, I can't believe United are going to finish top 4. Tottenham and Arsenal keep falling over ourselves. Listen, go and have a look at Tottenham's results recently. It was a bad day at the weekend, but actually Tottenham are not being Spursy. Might have been a Spursy result at the weekend. But
this is the same Brighton team that just beat Arsenal as well a week earlier. So,
well, exactly.
It's not like they're mugs, mate.
And the point I wanted to make on Brighton Southampton is, I think Southampton have shown over the last couple of years that in certain scenarios, and this sounds ridiculous when some of the heavy beatings they've had, that in certain scenarios they can put up a bit of a wall defensively and will frustrate. That said, Arsenal had a number of shots on target, but having watched the game back, it reminded me quite a lot of the second half Tottenham had at St Mary's back in December. And admittedly, on that occasion, Southampton were a man short. And Forster made some good saves. I think Forster made 10 saves that day against us. I think he made 8 against Arsenal, I want to say, at the weekend. So you're still breaching them, but not many clear-cut chances, I'd say. I think Arsenal had about 83% of the ball in the second half. Just camped. It was like a training match. But they have the capacity to do it, Southampton. One of the things we really spoke about all week was there was an inkling that they might recover. They obviously changed system. They put Liancow in the team, went with a back three, although it was very much rather a back five. I know Matt Samuel, our Saints correspondent, was very high on Peral's performance at left back, which Livramento or Cole Walker-Peters owners should note, because I think in that system as well, arguably it probably works best with Peral and Walker-Peters, arguably as the wing backs. It drops.
Yeah, that was
I think Adams wasn't in the squad, was he? I want to say.
I don't think he was, no. Livramento was definitely a bullet I dodged, because he was one that I considered bringing in just because of the double game week, and no show in the end.
I mean, going into this week, who'd have told you that basically the defensive assets you wanted were Southampton and
Bednarek,
Brighton assets? Bednarek feels like the sort of player who scores in a double game week. I don't know why. Maybe I just have that somewhere in my brain. But decent from it. Certainly a decent defensive display. The goal they scored was weird in the sense that it looked like Ben White kind of perhaps had a clash of heads, maybe. But the fact that he rolled off the pitch, there was no need for the referee to stop the game. But he didn't roll off the pitch intentionally. It's just where he fell. And I think because of that, if he'd have fallen in the box and he'd stayed down, I think the referee would have stopped the game, ironically, because it got headed out of the penalty box. If White had been in the box and just held his head, I think the referee would have got to have to stop this. Plus, he'd have been playing everybody on side. I think the ref would have stopped it. Because he went off the pitch, I think he thought, I've got to get back on. And obviously positionally wasn't right, but it was like he didn't get up quick enough, so then he couldn't get to Bednarek to close the shot and stuff. It was a weird goal, and to be fair, I want to say Arsenal haven't conceded a goal from a corner all season, and I presume this doesn't count as one because it's the second phase, but they do normally defend those zones quite well, actually. So it was a strange goal. Arsenal did have chances, particularly through Saka. Odegaard saw so much of the ball. He was really creative. Looked like it was going to make things happen. But I think Arsenal fans right now are probably looking at it and feeling if they don't finish top 4, it's because they haven't got a centre forward. Is the reality. I don't dislike Nketiah, but whenever I watch him, I don't get the feeling he's going to score.
No. And that was one of the things where we talked about on Friday in terms of differential show. It was like, okay, well, he is a hell of a punt to go with, Nketiah. But even if he is now centre forward, and even if he does play 2 games or even the week after, is he still going to score? Because you get players that get the minutes and still don't return. And so he was a real no-go for me.
I've not seen hardly anybody go for him, but I think those who did go for him on a free hit shouldn't beat themselves up about it, because Arsenal did create some decent chances in this. It wasn't like the Tottenham game. Like Arsenal created chances in their game. Just found a goalkeeper who was quite inspired. Plus they missed chances as well. But I would have considered him. I probably in the end, he probably would have been kind of 4th choice forward for me, because I think I would have gone Adams, ironically, St. Maximin and Ronaldo in the end. The more I thought about Brighton, the more convinced I became about Ronaldo, actually. But I wouldn't have blamed anybody if they free hitted in Nketiah, because it's not a player that you want longer term. So you take advantage of that, I think.
Yep, agreed. Let's talk about Watford 1, Brentford 2. We thought this was going to be an easy win for Brentford, and they did win. I wouldn't go so far as to say like easy, because Watford had a few chances towards the end as well. But
have you seen losers miss? Like right at the end?
I mean, Watford should have scored, and
Bloody
obviously
hell.
Brentford did win in injury time. I should have said earlier, James, when we were talking about our FPL teams, I did have a return this week, actually, but it's sitting on the bench. Emmanuel Dennis is 8 points. So if there's any chance that Mason Mount and one of the Liverpool boys don't play, I could have Dennis coming
unlucky.
in.
Unlucky.
Dennis is 8 points after how long? But Watford now 6 points adrift off Everton. 6 games to go, and Everton have got 8 games to go. So it's looking more and more likely that it's done.
I'm gonna say what I say 3 or 4 times a season. It feels appropriate to say it. Although I suspect it might not be this week, and it's probably more likely to be next week. Roy Hodgson could get sacked at any hour, I think, because of the way they operate. And also, to be honest, all the noises I hear from Watford fans is don't like him. And I can understand that, because nothing is better than when Ranieri was in charge. And Ranieri just does feel like such a likable and relatable character, doesn't he?
Yeah.
And he was like, trust, we'll get out of it and stuff like that. Hodgson comes in after the game and he's like, yeah, if we win all 6 games left, we might stay up. Mate, good luck with that. You still got to go to the Etihad and Stamford Bridge. If you win the other 4, it might not be enough for you. They're finished, mate.
Yeah.
They won't get anything at the Etihad. I'd be very surprised if they got anything at Stamford Bridge on the final day. I'd probably give Norwich more of a chance of staying up, because at least Norwich look capable of doing something at the moment. Like, they create good opportunities at the weekend. They beat Burnley obviously the week before. They drew at Brighton, admittedly a little bit fortuitously the week before. Whereas Watford, there's just no momentum. There's nothing about them. And that's despite the fact you do have forward players who are threatening and can score goals in the likes of Sarr, Dennis, João Pedro, Josh King when they want to use him. Cucho's obviously, we think, probably out for the season now. They haven't utilised it properly. Their home record is like 10 defeats at home in a row or something, mate. Their last home win was when they beat Manchester United.
Yeah,
feels like a lifetime ago. So you can even look at, they've still got Burnley at home and Everton at home. They might win them 2 games. It's not going to be enough. Even their competitive rivals. It's not going to be enough, I don't think. I think they're as gone as Norwich are now, personally.
I agree with you completely on that.
And on Dennis, Brentford's winning goal is the worst bit of individual defending you will see from any player all season long. Now, I know he's not a defender, but have you seen it?
No.
So he's basically on the far side of the pitch. The ball goes nowhere near him. He goes onto the far side of the pitch where he's making sure that a short free kick is not taken. But the Brentford player walks in backwards. He just keeps walking in backwards. So the Brentford player's like, I'm going to push you back, as in the ball might be coming for me. He just pushes him back. And as Ericsson goes to take the free kick, Dennis is 5 yards deeper than every Watford player.
Oh, mad.
He's playing all of them on side. It's terrible. It's honestly so bad. And I know, it's not his game, but who's communicating? Admittedly, someone in that back line for Watford should be screaming at him, get up, get out.
Get on the defensive line.
Or then Watford players have to sense it and they have to go deeper with him or something. It's terrible. And the one thing you do credit Hodgson teams for is organisation, right? Well, clearly there's none there in the last minute of the game. So they're not going to get out of this. Brentford are on a super run, aren't they?
Yeah, and we've been moaning about lack of forward options. Tony's still ticking along nicely at the moment.
With his 1 point at the weekend.
So why did I think he picked up an assist at the weekend? Right,
1 point, mate. He nearly scored one unbelievable guy. He had a great dipping volley from distance.
Yeah, I don't know. I think there's assets there, but I just don't know if they've got no extra fixtures. They've got no chance of a double game week, and they've got nothing to play for, even though that doesn't seem to make the most amount of difference. I don't know. Are you tempted to go anywhere near Brentford?
No. It's not going to work for me. But Tottenham at home, United away, look terrible on paper, but they might not be, depending on how Brentford set up at the weekend. And to be honest, they can go and hurt Manchester United at Old Trafford. Then you finish with Southampton, Everton, Leeds. So I think the opposite is you don't need to fret to panic to come off. Like if you've got David Raya as your backup keeper, it's fine. I think because there's no doubles or anything in there, you're probably not looking. I feel like, interestingly, with them, we might punt 1 or 2 of them maybe in game week 38, but then Leeds have looked a lot better the last couple of weeks as well. So, no, it's not going to work for me, Suj, and I presume your answer will be the same, but they're doing really well. I'm worried about the weekend game, not in terms of them copycatting Brighton, because as I explained, I don't think they can in the same way, but I am worried that the midfield 3 will dominate R2 if we let them have enough of the ball. And the aerial stuff, the long throws and stuff it's not going to be fun to watch. So they'll give us a game this weekend. That I'm certain of. They're in great form, and the pressure's off them now, right? They can go for it and play with a bit of freedom, which that in turn might work into Tottenham's hands a little bit.
Let's talk about Newcastle 2, Leicester 1. We can clearly see that Brendan Rodgers is prioritising Europe now. I mean, he, unlike David Moyes, rested Barnes, Maddison. So many no-shows there that
he brought them on though, didn't he? Barnes, Maddison, Iheanacho. But we knew this was going to happen.
Well, yeah, I think a lot of people might have hoped that it wasn't. I suppose with West Ham and European football, you know that 90% of the team is going to be the
honest,
same. With Leicester, they've got a bit more about them.
What I was saying to people like on my stream on Friday and on my stream Saturday morning was, like, I don't think Maddison's going to start at Newcastle, but don't let it put you off buying him.
Yeah,
because I think
120 minutes across 2 games.
Exactly. And to be honest, I'd have been looking at him thinking he's almost definitely not starting twice. I'd rather he starts against Everton. Is what I would have been thinking. So look, it's not over for your Leicester assets left. The easier fixture of the two is still to come. Newcastle's been great at St James's Park. I mean, it's 5 or 6 wins in a row at St James's or so. So look, tough place to go at the moment. And then it's Villa at the weekend as well. That's fine. And then, okay, you walk into Tottenham away. Again, hoping Leicester pick more of a similar team to yesterday than their best team. And then you walk into the doubles and stuff. So if you've gone, you've gone. I wouldn't fret over it.
Yeah. It's not no looking back now.
But this is probably going to continue. I think it will go stronger in the next 2, but it'll still be a bit more rotations. I think the team that plays against Everton will be more like the team that played against PSV last Thursday. And then it's about recovery in terms of who does he trust to play again for Villa. But we may almost be at a position at the moment where he's looking at it going, strongest team midweek, weaker team weekend. And I think we can clearly see the difference. Like Soyuncu and Amati are not Evans and Fofana. The fullbacks, you can make your choice in terms of who you prefer. But the likes of Maddison is clearly first choice. I think Iheanacho has favouritism over Daka. I know Barnes got withdrawn at half-time against PSV, but then the fact that he didn't start this suggests there's still some importance around him. And I think Harvey Barnes is still part in Leicester's team, best team, which probably needs saying for those who suddenly gone, oh, Lookman's got a few returns. I don't feel like he's consistent. I wouldn't even know what his price is. Have a look for me, please. So, Ayoze Perez is fit as well, so that's kind of an extra body back in there. Dewsbury Hall's the only one who plays every game, and Tielemans as well, right? I mean, Dewsbury Hall's really interesting for those who are looking at bench boost 36, and he might be part of my plans. Suj. That said, I look at 36, looking further down the line, and that double Everton at home and Norwich at home. And it's the same principle as now, but even better. So to be honest, if I've got a Leicester attacking asset that plays either Everton at home or Norwich at home, they can still do bits in that 1 week, can't they?
Agreed. Yeah.
So in terms of if you're panicking, particularly the offensive players, if you're panicking, or I don't know if they're going to play twice in the 36 double for my bench boost, well, either way, as long as you've got someone who's going to start at least once, you've got one good fixture there. One good fixture, definitely. Schmeichel is the most certain pick possible on my wild card for that bench boost. Absolutely certain, because he's the only one that definitely does play twice. And I do want some of it. So yeah, he's an absolute certainty for me, Schmeichel. I mean, it'd be so popular. I find it really difficult to think how bench boosters will wild card without him. It's just so obvious. Was he 4.8 or 4.9? It's not overly expensive.
No.
And then you can make your choice whether you want to pair that up with like the likes of a Ramsdale and have 2 at that price, or you want to go Ben Foster and save the money. I said this last week, that's the easiest first way into Leicester is go with a goalkeeper and then come back for the rest because it's so difficult. And we sat here this time last week and went, let's see later in the week, we can talk about it more then. And it didn't overly help us. And we're sitting here a week on and we're still going, yeah, let's wait and see how we are. Like, you're not going to go and buy Leicester this week. No, I don't think. And you're probably not in 35 as well. But if you're wildcarding, you are investing, definitely. So people want to know. I would definitely go Schmeichel. I would be really, really tempted to punt Iheanacho.
It kind of depends on whether you're bench boosting or not.
If
right?
I was wildcarding.
If you're bench boosting, then you give more consideration to some of the cheapies like Dewsbury Hall and what have you. If you're not bench boosting and you want first team players, then it's
Yeah,
a bit
true.
of a
But then
strategy.
Dewsbury Hall, you know, you're going to get something out of unless he's injured. So he might, you know, if you go Dewsbury Hall and
Schmeichel.
Anthony Gordon or something, I mean, it's a bad example because Everton have a double as well. But, you know, you go a couple like that. Maybe you go Jacob Ramsey because he's got a double in 37 if you don't have a free hit or something. And those two players will facilitate you to have like Salah and Son, for example, which otherwise you might not be able to do. So, like, it depends how you want to play it. There's different ways of playing it, as we'll discuss on People's Poll tomorrow, I think. So,
Indeed. Last but not least, sorry, we got to talk
Newcastle.
about No.
I mean, look, moment's gone, I think.
It has, but he is cheap as hell, 4.9 million still. So
yeah, and if he facilitates, great. But what I'd say to you is, after Norwich, and it might be, I'd say, like, for those who wildcard in 35, if he's your enabler to get to third Chelsea player this week, great, crack on. For me, like, it's not enough to go to Fraser to Grimares doesn't fix the problem, because Fraser's the midfielder I need to get rid of to make it happen. Because that's the same, if I go Fraser to Grimares and move Jacob Ramsey on it, it's not enough in the bank for me to make that happen. It's just not going to be for me. But if it works for someone else, that, yeah, getting Grimares in facilitates getting Mount or Havertz instead, and your wild card in 35, like, great, crack on. I'd look at it and go, in 35, 36, you are not going to start him. Liverpool at home, Man City away is the reality. So if you're bench boosting in 36, that's useless for you. Man City away is a single fixture. I don't care. Dewsbury Hall and Gordon have got doubles, right? That's where you're going to go. And even if you're not bench boosting, again, why not still go with one of these guys? I mean, Dewsbury Hall and Gordon is back-to-back doubles, isn't it? It's hard to make a case for those investing new to go for Grimares now, I think, other than that one scenario where he's great fixture this week, it enables you another Chelsea player, fine, crack on. Otherwise, it was go and get the job done previously.
Yep.
Other Newcastle assets, I wouldn't rule them out of a clean sheet against Palace on Wednesday, by the way. There'd be plenty like me sitting there with double defensive going, what have I done? I mean, it's not that big of a deal. Look, they're cheap budget assets. We shouldn't have high expectations. We have to remember they're more Notts County than Juventus until they actually really start spending a shitload of money. But it's great fixture this coming week, but they're sellable after this week. Wherever it is after this week can sit on the bench or go, I think.
Yeah. Let's talk about West Ham 1, Burnley 1, which was the last game and the game that I was at yesterday. I tweeted quite a bit after the game that I thought Burnley were.
You were drinking yesterday, weren't you?
Well, I had a couple. Not
you
a lot.
always say that to me. I can tell when James been on the piss, he tweets more.
Yeah. I thought let me tweet for a change.
I thought, God, Suj is trigger happy. He's definitely on the piss.
It was one of those games where Burnley didn't create much at all. Like it was very rarely, if at all, that we felt
other than missed the penalty, it already 1-0 up.
Well, right? So that corner that they scored from the rebound was the first time that I felt threatened from anything, a set piece. But prior to that, they'd had a bit of the ball and a bit of build up.
It's the only time you do feel threatened by Burnley.
They're neat and tidy.
If we're honest.
Yeah, they're neat and tidy, and that was fine. But the build up play, but there was nothing like from the wingers like Cornet or what have you that was getting in behind or particularly, let's say, penetrative. And we can deal with their balls into the box and Weghorst and stuff. We had what kind of happened is obviously everybody's seen the horror issue for Ashley Westwood, which stopped the game.
Always terrible when you. I mean,
well. The thing is, as you're watching it, you've seen the two players kind of go in for the ball. Westwood goes down and he started waving his hand. And initially I'm like, is he saying like play on? Because Burnley had the ball. I think it was like, it looked like he was signaling like carry on playing, not that I've got a major problem. And then 5 seconds after that, Vlasic just broke down.
Yeah,
on his knees and you're like,
you can't see anything from the different postcodes you see. No. You know from the way Vlasic has reacted.
Well, as soon as Vlasic went down, you're like, oh, dear. So, and obviously you don't know what's wrong at this point. Game stopped for 10 minutes, which is very disruptive. Game restarted, and then a minute and a half later, all the medics are running into the crowd behind the goal because somebody in the crowd's had something. So again, it's disrupted for 3 or 4 minutes, and then 2 minutes after that is when Burnley scored.
Look at you with your excuse.
Well, it's not an excuse, but obviously it disrupts the game, James. And you can't say it doesn't, but yeah, it was very disruptive.
Don't suppose Ashley Westwood particularly did it on purpose.
No, but it disrupts the rhythm because we were on top. We definitely had more of the ball. Our build-up play was better. We were getting in behind. 21 shots in the end over the game says it all. I tell you what was frustrating was you said the atmosphere was going to be flat. It was the opposite. Like, I don't understand how the crowd can as in opposite being worse, James. Like you can.
It was really flat, or
no? You can support your team and be positive. You can be flat and neutral, or you can be negative and get on the players' back.
Negative.
Mate, the second half, I don't know if there's a handful of people that sit around me that one of the guys behind me, 2 rows back, I thought he was having a baby in the second half. Fucking hell, the noise is coming out of his mouth. But we were piling on the pressure wave after wave. So when the goal came, it'd been coming for about 20 minutes. It was wave after wave of attack. And you're like, look, why are we getting, they make mistakes. The final ball wasn't good enough. We got in behind. We didn't finish. Don't get on their backs. Like it's wave after wave of attack. Be patient. The goal is going to come. But everyone's getting on Ben Rama's back and Antonio's back. Bottom line is the quality in front of goal in the final third from West Ham wasn't good enough. But Bowen, anytime, any place, can still score. Antonio had a number of chances. And Burnley on the other end didn't really threaten at all. Cornet kept losing the ball. He wasn't as much of a threat as I thought he was particularly going to be. Weghorst anonymous. And I didn't see anything from Burnley that made me want to get any of their assets other than Nick Pope, who pulled out a couple of worldies, as he always seems to do in every single game. I can't see myself getting anywhere near Burnley assets. And if you own Weghorst, sure, he's a unit, so set pieces and stuff, he'll be a threat. But open play didn't cause any problems whatsoever.
I expected him to be, are you? Look,
I'd say he should be getting in. He should be causing the centre backs problems from open play, but there's nothing. Like, it's not like McNeil and Cornet were giving him any scraps to feed off. Nothing from Burnley.
So on last Thursday COTC, we had obviously Jack and Matt on and talking about Burnley, Southampton, right? And I'm sitting there with Weghorst and Breuer. And one of the comments I made on that podcast was that moving to Weghorst, Dennis, I mean, it didn't get any better, but did it get any worse? No. And here's the point. Quite often, what are you moving to? So there's people that are really struggling to move to like a 4.5 million forward, like a Gelhardt. That's the answer. Go and buy Gelhardt or something. But those who are bench boosting don't want to do that sort of thing, which is completely understandable. So you look at best forward options in terms of a bench boost for 36. It's probably, ironically, it's probably Dennis or Team of Pukki are probably the ones that kind of 6 million-ish or so that are cheaper. There's not a lot down there that's cheaper that's worth going to. So you look at the next few. He's got Southampton Thursday, and would it surprise you if Southampton rock up and suddenly open again against Burnley and concede a couple? No. Wolves at home will be low scoring. Watford away 35. The way Watford defend, yeah, it's not that bad. Villa 36. He's got a double 37. Newcastle at home 38. That's not that bad, particularly those who are looking at free.
Is Newcastle home or away?
Home. Particularly those who are looking at free hit 36. I almost feel like it's almost keepable because what are you going to go to instead?
That's definitely a fair point. What are you going to instead? But my point is that you won't get a lot of returns out of Weghorst in the coming
weeks.
You won't.
But then
he's just not that good.
I'm setting up this week with him on the bench currently. But at the moment, I'd have him first sub home to Wolves rather than Broja, the points dodger, away to Brighton, who have shored things up quite significantly. Basically affected 3 clean sheets in a row, bar Odegaard's long-range deflective effort. Bray will score at Brighton, won't he? That's how this game works, mate. You know that.
It's frustrating, I know. But you look at the Newcastle game. I mean, Newcastle's they've got some big centre-backs back there. Villa with Konsa and Mings or whoever plays alongside Mings. I don't think he's going to get much change out of those guys, particularly Wolves, Cody, Bolly, Kilman, Saiz, whoever plays. He ain't going to get much change out of them. I don't see points for Weghorst. I just don't. And Cornet's penalty was shite.
Look, again, you're not going to go and buy new at this point. But I think, again, for those who are free hitting in 36 specifically, you can do worse than leave it there. If you're without a wild card and you're free hitting 36, then I think priorities may well lie elsewhere, personally, is all I would say to that. Variance seems to be a popular word in certainly the FPL Twitter community this week, Suj. Our mate Claire, one of our patrons, West Ham fan. I don't know if she was at the game, Suj.
She wasn't. Well, if she was, she wasn't sitting there where we normally sit.
No, she's going to love me for this shout out, honestly. Do you know she captained this week?
Cornet.
Yep.
Yeah.
She captained Maxwell Cornet, and I tried to talk her out of it on Thursday. Correct decision was hers, not mine. At the end of the day, it's his corner, which Rodriguez gets the first header on that hits the bar.
Correct.
Could be his assist. He's missed the penalty. He also set up a chance for Rodriguez in the second half. He could have hauled massively. He's got one good fixture to go. It wasn't particularly a bad decision. Unfortunately, he's sitting there with 0.
Yeah.
Cornet, in hindsight, looks a better choice this week than Bruno Fernandes.
Yes, and also Cornet. Like if you look at the game as 90 minutes of football, Cornet went up too much. That's all. To be honest with you, he lost the ball too often
in the key moments. He said Weghorst has done nothing, and he's got top bonus.
That's a very FPL way of looking at the game, which I get is we're playing FPL. The podcast is about FPL. But when you start making transfers, I mean, the thing is, we get at the point of the season where there's 5 or 6 game weeks left, right? So you might not necessarily be looking as long-term as you would be at the start of the season when you're buying a certain player. You might be in and out, or it might just be 2 weeks before you wild card, or it might be specifically for that week. So you can make decisions that are much more short-term. But if you're talking about a long-term decision to sit and hold, the likes of Weghorst and Cornet between now and the end of the season, doesn't fill me with any sort of joy whatsoever.
Free hitters 36. Slamming. They've got plenty still to play for.
Yeah, for sure. And that's it. I mean, West Ham is chalk and cheese now, 2 teams, isn't it? It's like the Europa League performance. It's the same team, but different performances. Europa League on Thursday night versus yesterday. Yesterday wasn't bad by any stretch. The interesting thing is, if we had to win that game yesterday, if we had to win it, I think we would have won it.
Do you think you would have just started differently? Maybe more?
No, I just think that intensity of like
it sounds like you should have won yesterday.
We should have won yesterday. Yeah. But it was that last, like, right, you know, when a team's got to get a goal, you pile on that little bit more pressure and a little bit more intensity. I think we just lacked that killer instinct at the end, that if it was life or death, if the players were all going to get shot at the end of the game if they hadn't won it, I think they would have won it, because we were definitely capable. I know we just come back from an away game, so it's fine. It is what it is. Like, let's see.
What would the mentality be like at Chelsea on Sunday?
Derby, mate. London
so
derby.
Be up for it?
Yeah. I think 100%. And it's a week's rest.
What about Arsenal the Sunday?
We played, remember, right? And that was our 5th game in 14 days. So it's been intense. We've now got a week's break, so the team can prepare properly. Arsenal couldn't care less about it. Depends what happens against Frankfurt. Like, if we're winning against Frankfurt, or even in the tie, no one's going to care about Arsenal, I'm afraid.
You're not going to be out of the tie.
Well, we could be losing 3 or 4-0, mate.
You won't be.
If there's a goal in it, either way, then Arsenal, we're not going to care less about, honestly.
Love you.
Yeah.
Not.
So, and that's a wrap on the 6 games that we've had. James, we've got time to get into a few Twitter questions today as well. Do you want to tell people that back to normal work tomorrow, what have they got to look forward to the rest of the week?
I shall. So, people's poll vote is out when he finds what it is again, looking in the wrong place. I'll come back to people's poll. Wednesday is Sky Fantasy. Thursday is...
It's free hit and bench boost stuff, people's poll, isn't it?
Basically, stuff. There's options. It's aimed for those who are wildcarding this week and looking at different strategy paths for us, particularly to focus on for tomorrow. So you can pick your focus, whether you want us to focus towards wildcarding for bench boosters or focus for those who don't have bench boost. It's your choice which way we go with it. I'll do the other options for the advanced tier patrons later in the week. Friday, me and you will do this again. So we've got 6 midweek matches, mate. So we'll do this again Friday. I presume you and I are both wildcarding 35 now. Is that the plan?
Yes.
So we'll have a heavy
barring,
on that next week.
Barring, I need 4 or 5 injuries to make me want to pull the trigger this week.
Yeah, I would need similar. I'd need some bad. I'd just play Weghorst if I and Brusher, the points dodger. Intermediate and advanced tier podcast this week. Suj is pissing off for the rest of the day, so I'm going to do my Ask James stream for patrons today. Our Q&A will now be tomorrow. Tottenham Wednesday. I'm going to go into a lot more detail on Tottenham and Brighton and whether I'm concerned or not concerned. I feel less bad now that it's gone for a couple of days ago. Thursday, we've got a quiz on Champions League semi-finals this century. Friday will be our Game Week 34 differential show preview. The advanced tier content includes this week looking at a Game Week 34 free hit and also looking at the losing options from the People's Poll as well.
Nice. Should we get into some of these Twitter questions, James?
Yes.
I'm going to mix it up. Obviously, we've had a lot of questions around Chelsea doubles for FPL and all that kind of stuff. So we'll come back to that kind of stuff at the end of the week because they've got to play and Arsenal midweek and we'll know a little more.
Yeah, the sensible advice from Chelsea assets, get through Wednesday.
Yeah.
It's interesting, actually. Only one player's gone up in price so far this week. It's Martin Dubravka.
Mad.
It's obviously late buyers from Saturday morning and stuff like that. So, and I've got him. So I don't feel like I've even missed out on anything price-wise. It's really sensible to wait. You've got all these midweek matches as well. Right now, the decision's got to be more important than the value, surely.
Yep. David wants to know what the best flavour Magnum is. You know, the ice cream. Do you know one thing with Magnum?
I feel like there's a salted caramel. Am I right in saying that?
This is the thing. There are so many flavors, James. Like I remember in the old days, you used to have milk chocolate, white chocolate, dark chocolate. And milk chocolate for me always. White chocolate too sweet, and I'm not a big dark chocolate fan. So the classic milk chocolate is the one that I'll always go to. But then they've brought out so many. Like you got almond, you got mint, you got raspberry, you got double chocolate, you got salted caramel, and I can't keep up with as many flavors as Magnum are bringing out. So I don't know is the answer, but we have default to classic.
We have a little thing, and if my mum's listening, this is going to really upset her. Great dinner, by the way, yesterday, Mum. Thanks so much. Love you. But like, she's normally got Magnums, and sometimes she'd be like, oh, "Do you want a Christmas pudding? Like Christmas? You want Christmas pudding? No, I fucking don't. Just give me the Magnum." that will do.
Yeah. The other problem, Dave, is as much as Magnum keep bringing out all these amazing, lovely flavors, Aldi don't copy them quick enough. So now I live across the road from Aldi. So if you're listening and you work at Aldi, can you keep up with Magnum's flavors as they keep smashing them out, please? Do you know that my favorite is more Cornetto? I like a Cornetto more than a Magnum generally. Pilot Flame. In fact, and based on this question, James, I think we should launch a spin-off show. Planet FPL.
Have we not got a lot of them already?
Planet FPL do food. Cheese toasty on the flat top frying pan or in the panini press. It's got to be If I'm happy with the heart attack that's impending, then fry it all day long because they're so much better. But not many people do. Like it's just not one of those things that you generally get unless you're out and about somewhere and they've really cheesed it up. And if they fry it and they put cheese on either side of the bread as well as in the middle, that's the shit, right? Fatty, crispy, gooey. Oh yeah, frying pan.
It's in the oven and just let the cheese melt on it.
A lot of people talking about selling Sonny, James. Like Marky says, is it time to move?
I know he's been terrible
on?
For a number of weeks, hasn't he?
And a lot of people talking about selling Bruno or Son for a Chelsea midfielder this week.
Do you want me to start a trend? Let's see if anyone tweets this out, right? Sonny doesn't score goals in short sleeve shirts.
Why does he wear them then?
Well, I don't know. He never does, but he was wearing a short sleeve at the weekend. I mean, it was quite warm. And I don't know why, but him particularly, I was like, he doesn't look right in short sleeves. I don't know why. So that's it. He can't score in short sleeve shirts. But it might be colder at the weekend.
Was he wearing gloves?
Obviously not, no. I'm sure Emerson Royal was still maybe wearing gloves. He was the only Tottenham player in long sleeve shirt, Emerson Royal.
Short sleeve and gloves is the one that always makes me laugh.
Sonny's what bloody hell, man. I mean, what was his last 3 minutes?
Oh, mate. Let me give a quick side story for because I was going to talk about it on Tottenham, and a lot of the listeners, if they've lasted this long into the pod, mate, they deserve it. So Tevez was at the game yesterday. Carlos Tevez. I made a big deal. Oh, Tevez.
Oh
come
yeah,
back
still can't speak English.
Fuck me, mate. He came out on the. Did you see him on the pitch? He comes out on the pitch.
I wasn't there, mate.
The stadium announced. I don't know if on highlights or anything. The stadium announcers
don't care.
We've got came in when Javier Mascherano came in. Carlos Tevez, yeah. So he walks out on pitch.
And we cheated the league and we doped Sheffield United. Yeah, go on.
Doping, is it? Doping. He holds up his shirt, Tevez shirt, 32 fine, and then he gets the mic and he goes, "Come on, you Irons." And then just gives the mic back and just disappears. Literally, that was class. It. You're like, is there any interview? Like, you're making such a big deal out of the fact that he's here. You've not asked him a single question. He can't speak a fucking word of English still. It literally just came on, said, "Come on, you Irons," and just fucked off again. I didn't see what he's doing, but
he couldn't even get to like, "We're massive" or
hello,
nothing.
Hi, no, hello, hi.
Surely that would have been the one, wouldn't it? If they just give him the mic and he went, "West Ham are massive," dropped the mic and walked off.
Nah, nothing. Real debacle. If Burnley go down.
Hold on, can we just be serious on Sonny just for 1 second?
Yes.
Like,
don't sell him.
No, but you can. Like, I think that, say, for example, I've spoke about like Kane to Werner to facilitate, right? If you're in a position where, I don't know, you're sitting there, say, like with Fraser and Son, same sort of thing, and you need to sell him to get like Mount and Havertz or something, and then you're wild carding afterwards, like, great. Or even if you're not wild carding afterwards, go back to him if you want for another -4 the following week or something. The games, I'm not sure Brentford's a great fixture for him. I don't think. Leicester 35 is potentially a brilliant fixture for him. And to be honest, the double's good for Sonny. 36, Liverpool away and Arsenal at home. Now, I know they're tough games, but they're potentially sunny games. Whereas like Burnley at home might not be. Norwich away 38, we'll see when we get there and stuff. So, I mean, there's a case to make that this coming week might be the hardest left for Sonny. Let me put it that way.
Yeah. It says if Burnley go down, which players get sent out and picked up by other Premier League teams? I think Nick Pope has clearly proven that he's a consistent goalkeeper. I could see him getting picked up. Tarkowski's obviously out of contract. I can see him getting picked up by even ourselves or Newcastle, or a few clubs would want a reliable centre back there. Cornet will get interest, but I think it depends on the price.
He'd definitely leave.
Yeah.
To be honest, there's a number. Charlie Taylor would get interest. Good left-footed fullback. Dwight McNeil's had a bad season, in my opinion, and I've been quite high on him in the past. He's got to step up and rediscover his form. Brownhill.
I can't see people flooding to get Dwight McNeil.
Josh Brownhill, there'll be interest, definitely.
It sounds like the price, right?
But yeah, I mean, there's some sellable assets there. I mean, to be honest, Josh Brownhill is probably 20-25 million or so. They do have some sellable assets. Yeah, if they sell Charlie Taylor, I don't know what the contract situation of these players is, but if they sell Charlie Taylor, he's not going for 2.5 million, is he? Probably these days, it probably is 10-15 million or so, isn't it? I suppose, for a natural left-footed fullback who also happens to be English as well. So it helps with your quotas and stuff. So yeah, they'll get some money in the club. I don't know your opinion on Sean Dyche's sacking. I've not spoken to you.
Yeah, it's ironic. We always record and then news breaks, and we recorded on Friday, and then that bloody news broke. I wouldn't have done it. It's too close to the end of the season. I don't see what it changes necessarily, and especially if they haven't got a plan of who's coming in next.
Well, it looks like it wasn't. I'm very suspicious that the sacking was on a Friday morning when it was like 2 hours before his press conference. It was like the decision got made either really late Thursday or Friday morning. What prompted that?
Could have been a bust up or something like that.
The idea would have been to prompt it was maybe the Norwich defeat on the Sunday and get yourselves organised. So now the Athletic reporting this morning, they're looking to make an interim appointment. No doubt by the time this has been released, we'll find out that the real Michael Jackson has been appointed Burnley temporary manager. It'd be Big Sam, wouldn't it? If they're going into him, he's going to pay him a fortune, don't they? And say, like, if you keep this up, there's 2-3 million in the bank or something for you as a bonus. Apparently, it's cost a shitload to get Dyche out as well, you know.
Yeah, no
paying quite a bit of compensation. I think there was a bust up behind the scenes,
doubt. They
personally.
will all come out eventually.
I think to sum it up best, I would say that there was a movement of discontent amongst Burnley fans to the extent I think if they'd have parted ways in the summer, Burnley fans would have gone, thank you very much for 10 brilliant years. Let's try something different. Even if they'd gone down or if they'd stayed up, either way. But doing it now, it just feels wrong. It doesn't feel like, and I know that they got a positive result yesterday that they may not have got, but let's be honest, it was mainly because of Nick Pope they got a result. I don't see how it puts them in a better position. I just fail to see how someone's going to get better returns out of that squad over the next few weeks. Look, if someone comes in and they stay up and pull it off, then it's an incredibly brave and positive decision. Unfortunately, I don't really see it now.
No, agreed. And we can only judge that at the end of the season when we know whether they finished 18th or 17th.
But I'll tell you what, if Everton don't win tomorrow night and Everton then look at their next couple of fixtures, Liverpool away, Chelsea at home, the opportunity is there for Burnley. Definitely.
Right. And that, James, is a wrap for this Bank Holiday Monday. Listeners, I hope you enjoyed this episode. We'll be back at you tomorrow with the People's Poll, particularly chippy in terms of free hits, bench boost, and a whole heap of stuff for the rest of the week, as always. Other than that, if you're in England, enjoy the sunshine if you have it. And have a great Monday. We're back at you tomorrow. Ciao for now.
Thanks, everyone. Be nice to each other. Cue music, please, man, child.